Now Bert's involved in a lot of things besides turkeys and cooking, and she's gonna tell us about some of the wonderful things they do in Nogales that we don't even know is happening. And it's good that we know and we can support her a little bit better maybe. So Bert, tell us about it.
Thank you. I want to thank you for letting me come. There's a lot of things going on in Nogales. We've been there 20 years this October, and my husband and I cannot believe that we have been there that long. We have worked in 6 other rescue missions. This is the first rescue mission we ever started. And God opened the door for Nogales. Well, I said, I'm not going to Nogales. There's nothing down there that I want to go down there for. But you know, God gets your attention. He got my attention, because we went down there and we met Jan Flores Smith, the county attorney at the time, and she said, look, you want to come here and start a rescue mission, that's fine. But are you going to be like everybody else that comes down here, takes all the grant money and leaves 2 years later? And that happens a lot in Nogales. It's happening right now. Dan and I know that we're in God's work, and we're doing what God wants, and that's why we're there. So after we went down and stayed a few days, and I went back to my comfortable home in Tucson, I looked at him and said, I'm not going. And he said, Bert, God is calling us to Nogales. And that's all he said to me. And he prayed for me for about 3 weeks. I was under so much conviction about not going that I finally broke and said, all right, if God wants us to go, I'm going to put a fleece. And God really got me the first day. We opened the door up. We used to have the building on 456 Morley Avenue. Big, tall, 2-story building we rented. And then about 4 years ago, we were given the new mission. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's beautiful. It's a house that's 107 years old, and behind it is all the dining room area, the men's shelter, the apartment now we use for families, and it just grows and grows. We had a women's center next to the old building, the little yellow house, which only sheltered 8 women and children, and that yellow house was a thorn to me. There was always something wrong with it. There was always fights going on with the women because they were just so knit close, you know. And then God opened another door. About 6 months ago, we were able to purchase 2 homes on Valley Verde Street. And the 2 homes are now the new Women and Children's Shelter, where we can shelter up to 28 women and children. They're beautiful homes. I have pictures over there on the table if you want to see them. And the Lord just continually opened doors for us. Ben and I keep saying, when's it going to stop? I mean, we're ready to retire. 20 years, are we done yet, Lord? And the Lord told both of us, usually the way it works with Ben and I, he gets a vision, I get a vision, but we don't talk about it. We just wait to see which one's going to say it first. And usually we both say it at the same time. So, did I want a new women's center? We needed one bad, because we were constantly putting the children on the floor of the old house. There was not enough room. There was no playground area for the children. They had to stay in the house all the time because it wasn't safe on Morley Avenue with the traffic. We had a fenced yard, and we had a lot of clothes that would come in that we put in the storage behind us. So it was always stuff sitting on the porch, and so many times I would get so flustered because I'd go and there was the whole bags and bags and bags of clothes on the front porch. You couldn't even get through the front door, you know. And God just kept blessing us with this stuff. So God has had to teach me a lot of patience and love and kindness. Did I have it all the time? No, I didn't have it all the time. But everything you go through as a Christian it's teaching you something. That's the way I look at it. Okay, Lord, what's the lesson you're teaching me through this person? But that's a part of working with women who have problems, is they just don't want to take that other step out. They're afraid. And sometimes when they get in the women's center, they live in a little bubble where they're safe. And they're scared to go out that door because they don't know what's waiting for them out that door. U.S. survivor benefits came into works about 3 years ago. The U.S. federal government found out that there were ladies, widows, who were living in Mexico who were not U.S. citizens but had been married to a U.S. citizen spouse. And that spouse paid in benefits for 40, 50 years working in the United States. So he dies, and she couldn't get any of it. And she should have received a part of it. That's the way the U.S. survivor benefits are set up. So the Mexican consulate came to us and said, Ben and Bert Wenke, you think you can help us? We have some women that live in Mexico that have benefits that are theirs, but they have to live in the United States for 30 to 32 days in a home here. Can you help us? And yes, we did. We said, of course. So now we bring the ladies in. I have room for 4 ladies at a time. We bring the ladies in from the Mexican consulate. They are not U.S. citizens, but they have permission through the Customs, Border Patrol, and Mexican consulate to live in our shelter for 30 to 32 days. On the 32nd day or 30th day, I sign a paper from the consulate. They can go home with their full bill that had no money, no food. Is that possible for the United States? Is that possible that we actually have people around us in Green Valley that are barely making it? Yes. We've met many elderly couples in Green Valley, Rio Rico, Tubac, wherever they live, who are living on 1 meal a day. Why? Because a lot of benefits nowadays are getting cut. Our government is cutting every benefit they can to help the elderly. We have people come to the mission a lot that just want a bag of vegetables. We have from 100 to 150 a day, Monday through Friday, who come into the mission, and they get a hot meal at lunch, and they get a bag of food and 2 loaves of bread to take home with them. And I've had many of them tell me, one man who's been coming for 20 years, every single day, lives in Mexico, crosses back and forth every day. He says he will wait in line to go home to Mexico sometimes 4 hours just to go back. And sometimes 3 hours to come over, just to come to our mission to get a hot lunch and a bag of food. We now do family food boxes once a month on the 15th, where we started feeding like 20 families. Now we're feeding over 100. We lost our food bank food here a couple of years ago. We're getting it back now. But they keep telling us it's not going to be a lot, but it'll be something. So God does provide the needs of those who believe in Him, of hungry, homeless, hurting people. We've already seen an increase in our country's people without work. So I thank you once again, and God bless each one of you. Thank you.